Hello everyone and welcome to Bell Explains. In this video, I will be explaining Form 1 Chapter 2.2, Multiples, Common Multiples and Lowest Common Multiple. Let's get to it. Determine whether each of the following numbers is a common multiple of the list of numbers in the brackets. So we would like to see whether 72 is a multiple of 9 and 12. So here we can see that when 72 divides by 9, we get a whole number, which means it is in the multiple of 9. As for 12, it is also giving us a whole number. So what you have to do is just take the number outside and divide the number inside the brackets to know whether it is a multiple of the number. For B, 168 divided by 2 gives us a whole number, so it is a multiple. However, for 9, it does not give us a whole number, which means it is not. So we'll just write it down here. For A, it's yes. For B, it is a no. And for C, this is yes, yes, and yes. So 360 is a multiple of 4, 6, and 24. As for D, this is also yes, yes, and yes, which means 2250 is a multiple of 2, 5, and 9. For E, 9720 can be divided by 4, 5, 10, and 20, which means it is a multiple of these numbers, so yes. And lastly, for F, 16,416 can also be divided by 6, 9, 12, 24, and 36, which means the answer is also yes. Next, for number 2, list the first 5 common multiples of each of the following lists of numbers. Use an electronic spreadsheet to help you. Okay, so we will not be using an electronic spreadsheet. However, I will explain how to do this. If the numbers gets too long, then I recommend you use an electronic spreadsheet. So let's try A first. We have 2 and 5. So first, let's list down the multiples of 2. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on. For 5, we have 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. So here you can see the common multiple is 10. So here, let's list down the first 5 common multiples of 10. So that will give us 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay, next for B, we have 3 and 5. So for 3, let's list it down first. We have 3, 6, 9, 12, and so on. For 5, we have 5, 10, 15, 20. So if you see there's no common multiples, you just have to go on until you find one. So here you can see 15 is a common multiple. So let's list down the first 5 numbers of the multiples of 15. We have 15, 30, 45, 60, and 75. So this is how you do it. Since we don't have an electronic spreadsheet right now, I will not be explaining the rest. Let's move on to self-practice 2.2b. By using a suitable method, find the lowest common multiple of each of the following lists of numbers. So first we have A, 16 and 18. So we'll do this. We'll divide it by 2 first. That will give us 8 and 9. Next, we will divide it by 8. That will give us 1 and 9. And dividing it by 9 will give us 1 and 1. Make sure when you're doing this repeated division that the final answer has to be 1. So here we'll multiply the answers that we got, and that will give us 144. So this is the lowest common multiple for 16 and 18. Next for B, we have 10 and 15. So first let's divide this by 5. We'll get 2 and 3. And then we'll divide it by 2. That will give us 1 and 3. And next for 3, that will give us 1 and 1. So 5 times 2 times 3 will give us 30. Next for C, we have 6 and 8. So first we will divide it by 2. We'll get 3 and 4. Then we'll divide it by 3, we'll get 1 and 4, and lastly for this, we'll divide it by 4, we'll get 1 and 1. So 2 times 3 times 4 gives us 24. Next for D, we have 18 and 60. So that will be divided by 2, giving us 9 and 30. This can be divided by 3, so 3 and 10. Then dividing it by 3 again will give us 1 and 10. And lastly, for this, we'll divide it by 10, giving us 1 and 1. So 2 times 3 times 3 times 10 gives us 180. A neon light blinks every 9 seconds, whereas another neon light blinks every 12 seconds. If both the lights blink together when the switch is on, after how many seconds will both the neon lights blink together again? So here let's find the lowest common multiple. We have 9 and 12. So dividing this by 3 gives us 3 and 4. Dividing this by 3 gives us 1 and 4. Then dividing by 4 gives us 1 and 1. So here we have 3 times 3 times 4, and that should give us 36 seconds. Next, Vijaya wishes to pack some souvenirs consisting of a keychain and a refrigerator magnet in each pack for her friends. Keychains are sold at 10 pieces per packet, whereas refrigerator magnets are sold in 6 pieces per packet. What is the minimum number of keychains Vijaya has to buy so that the number of refrigerator magnets she buys can be packed exactly with all the keychains? So here we'll find the common multiple again. We have 6 and 10. So dividing this by 2 gives us 3 and 5. Dividing it by 3 gives us 1 and 5. And dividing it by 5 gives us 1 and 1. So here we have 2 times 3 times 5, and that will give us 30 keychains. And lastly, for Mastery Q 2.2, we'll skip to number 3 and 4. So for number 3, we have Sharif likes exercising. He goes hill climbing every 12 days and goes swimming every 8 days. If he goes hill climbing and swimming today, how many days later will he go hill climbing and swimming on the same day again? Okay, so here we have 12 days and 8 days. So we'll divide it by 2 first, that will give us 6 and 4. Dividing this by 2 gives us 3 and 2. Dividing it by 2 gives us 3 and 1. And lastly, dividing it by 3 gives us 1 and 1. So here we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, giving us 24 days later. Next for number 4, Nurul, Huiling and Gopal were each given a piece of ribbon of the same length. They cut their own ribbons into several pieces of the same length. The pieces of ribbon cut by Nurul, Huiling and Gopal measured 15 cm, 25 cm and 30 cm long respectively. All the ribbons were cut and there were no remainders left. What was the shortest possible length of the ribbon given to them? So here we have 15, 25 and 30. So first we'll divide it by 5 and that will give us 3, 5 and 6. Dividing this by 3 gives us 1, 5 and 2. So here we'll divide it by 2. We'll get 1, 5 and 1. And lastly, dividing it by 5 gives us 1, 1 and 1. So here we have 5 times 3 times 2 times 5, and that will give us 150 cm.